Good morning. Welcome back to my channel. I've obviously moved the camera angle a little bit to get rid of background clutter. I have a couple of rapid games from last night that I played. Both of them were very sad, but perhaps this will give you a boost of confidence that you don't play like this anymore. But I'm going to learn something from them. I already have, and hopefully you can too if you're at or below my level. The first game threw me off on move 2. Well, move 1, when the opponent started with the England Gambit. I was lucky that just yesterday, a few hours before this, I had been watching a Gotham chess video, and he had a game and said the best move is to take the pawn. It is, according to the engine, so fortunately I knew that much. So on move 2, I'm doing all right. But then here, I have no idea. Why has my opponent brought out their queen already? What in the world? And I thought, should I just, are they really that dead serious about getting this pawn back? Maybe I should just protect it. Which turns out to be, if you let the engine run long enough, the top engine move. It ranks it equally with going here. I should put my bishop on one of these two spots. And I did. And then they did that. Check. Okay. Now, I'll just tell you right now, I had no idea that that's in danger here. What I'm looking at is the check and this pawn. I get hung with this thing all the time, end up losing a rook or both pawns, all kinds of stuff down in that corner. So I spent nearly 30 seconds right here. 18 seconds into the game, I spent 30 seconds missing the whole point of this check, which was to threaten that bishop, apparently. Well, I mean, it's a triple threat either way. But I did not see the bishop, and I thought and thought about how in the world, I can block check with this pawn, I can block check with the knight, even with my queen, and all of those didn't look really good. And so finally I was like, well, I have to move or it's going to auto-abort. And so I picked the absolute worst move, and they completely surprised me by taking the bishop, because again, I was expecting them to take this pawn. And then I was going to have to figure out the knight move to protect the rook. And here what in the world am I going to do next? The engine suggests g3. The engine also suggests e3. Or moving this knight out. But I'm a full piece down on move 5, so I resigned. I figure I will learn that trick or that trap, and I will live to fight another day. And the second game opened a little bit better for me, at least for this far. And not sure what that was about. Now here, the game review on chess.com says that's not great. It's good, but not great. But if you go here and let Stockfish run for a second, it eventually thinks that's the best move. I happen to know that because I've analyzed my London openings many times in the past, and I know that if you let the engine run, it wants you to do c4 here. Partially because that might prevent them from bringing their b pawn up, but also they've blocked their c pawn by their knight. But anyway, they took it, and I know that eventually I'm going to move this pawn, and I'll get that back. Possibly. Now here, the best move for me is to go and challenge this knight, but the second best move is the one I chose, which is to take the full center. I've got, two pieces guarding this pawn here, so I'm not too worried about that. And now, I'm still supposed to go after the knight, right? But instead, I was focused on this pawn. So I went after the pawn, which is a mistake. Fortunately for me, my opponent followed that with a blunder. So, yay for me. But it's only a blunder if I capture it with the queen. If I do anything else, it's the second best move is this, according to the computer. If I do that, I had the same advantage I had before. If I move knight to e5, I have the same advantage as before. If I capture this with my queen, then I have a 4-point advantage. But I didn't. I remembered some kind of trap here where you give up your bishop, because I saw this pin. I thought you give up your bishop for this check, which supposedly draws the king out. Then you can go in here with your knight, one of these two squares, and then recapture this bishop with the queen. But anyway, so I did that, and they took, and I went in with my knight to the wrong square. Had I gone to the other square, it would have been awesome. Right here, I would have had an advantage if I go here, because no matter what the king does, I can get the bishop with my knight. But for some reason, I was thinking of getting it with my queen. Yeah, so I went there. The king went back. I got the bishop. I got hit with this fork. Lost the rook. But that turns out to be a huge advantage for me. I just didn't know it. Like 5.4, 5.5. But it's one of those really crazy things that it's only an advantage if you know to go here. I would never even consider just going there and just giving away a knight for that rook. But apparently if you do, and if they take it, now I've got mate in 11. 10. The engine's making up its mind. It said 13, then 11. Now it says mate in 10, but only if I know the exact mating sequence. But I didn't know any of that, of course. So I thought if I move this knight out of the way, I can get that knight. So I did that. That is also a blunder. That's a blunder. That's a missed win. Yeah. So we end up in this situation where I lost my queen. I'm down 10 points of material now. 11 points of material now. Why didn't I take that knight? Wait, what? Oh, because I was afraid of losing my knight. Okay. Yeah, so now I resigned here. I realized I'm down 11 points of material. We're not even 2 minutes into the game. But it all started going wrong where I tried this little... where I tried this trap with the going down there. I should have just taken the knight. That was the whole point of having two pieces guarding that pawn. If you already know this, good for you. If not, hopefully you learned some of the same things that I did. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.